How we going, guys? Mickey here from Cartel. Back another kick-ass beer review. I'm going to review the latest home brew. This is the wheat beer that I've used, a particular ingredient in that I've been waiting quite some time for. So this is the Kumquat wheat. The plan was to do just a Kumquat IPA, but I ended up with 2 kilos, and I think 1 kilo is enough for just one sort of 21 litre batch. Make a jam? Nah, bugger it. We're gonna make 2 beers. So this one, Kumquat wheat, and we use a process called Carbonic Maceration. If any of the guys sort of watching this video are familiar with Carbonic Maceration, winemakers, coffee producers, Carbonic maceration used in the process of coffee as well. Quite popular, very much utilised in the making of wine. It's a process that goes into winemaking where the bunches of grapes are actually thrown in, so they're not actually removed from the stems or anything like that. Go straight into a pressure fermentation vessel, or any sort of vessel that can hold the pressure, and they're induced, I guess, forced with carbonation. That allows the cell structures to burst. We get a fermentation process going on, so carbonic maceration is a process of fermentation. Gets the grapes to about 2%, and then they carry on with their process with the winemaking. We've replicated this to a point where I've used 1 kilo of kumquats, a cup of sugar. I've actually pricked the kumquats with a sanitised stainless steel skewer, and a couple of litres of water gone in as well, and we've controlled the temperature of this maceration, allowed for a breakdown of the cell structures and other things to go on within this. In my case, was a 19 litre keg. Get a similar process if you were just to freeze the fruit, so much like frozen fruits. Home brewers use a lot of frozen fruits in things like a sour, saisons, sort of lighter style beers like that. Sometimes in the darker styles as well. You'll get cell breakdown, you'll get ruptures going on within the fruit, and the fruit then, whatever process you choose to take will come out in the finished product. Carbonic maceration, I've decided to control this one as much as possible, control the pressures, inject more carbon dioxide into it as it's needed, and basically added the kumquats at a process that was on the cooler side of things. So we're going to see some descriptors and some aromas and flavours coming through in this particular beer that I think you won't get if you were just to do a basic addition of fruit into a beer. So the use of kumquats, very popular in IPAs, very popular in saisons. A few recipes out there to do with wheat beers, which is what we've done here, and this is under development. This recipe is under development, so I'm not going to go into too much information about the processes that I've used to produce this beer. I really want to maybe do a couple of batches, get it down pat. It's one of those that fries your brains in the beginning because you've got a process going on and you're not sure whether you're doing it right. Need to find out with the finished product. It's something that you feel is going to be of quality to yourself and maybe others. So I will tap bottles off of this keg, or fill bottles off of this keg to share with others. I'll get some feedback on this particular beer, and then I might just come back and report on I'll actually fill some bottles for myself and see what a difference is between having it off tap now and having it in bottles a little bit later on, or directly after the point. Just fill one up, go through the normal processes of filling off tap, and see if there's any difference there. I don't feel there's going to be a lot of difference. Tettnanger hops has been used in this. There's a very minimal amount of Tettnanger, just enough to sort of help balance it out, bring some floralness, bring some spice, and the descriptors of Tettnanger through, and hopefully they work well with the kumquat. Research tells me definitely Tettnanger in the process of using the kumquat. So it has a lot of clarity. It's a very nice looking beer. It's got, you know, the two finger sort of head. It's dissipating. Depends when you pull this beer off of the keg. It could be the first pour after sitting all day, and it is quite fluffy. It hangs around, stays for a long time. It does dissipate in this one, but the lacing, phenomenal. It's really good. It's already showing promises of lacing. Who knows until we start taking a few sips whether this has got a lacing or not. So the colour's magnificent. It's a nice looking wheat beer. It's a lot darker on camera. It is, I would say, straw and some good clarity. Does have a little bit of sort of protein haze. There is obviously wheat, and there's carapils in this one as well, try and help with the retention there. Nothing really much else has gone into this. Some Pilsner. We're using our base wheat beer recipe that I've done for many years now and seems to work really well, so I've stuck with that. IPA is going to be a lot different. I'm going to venture a little bit more in depth of the IPA using the kumquats, and we're going to try and introduce some really orange vibrant colours in association with the colour of the kumquats. Yes, it's a wheat beer. Definitely picking that up. I'm picking up massive amounts of kumquat. The piffiness smells juicy. Smells like spring. Smells like summer coming on. Smells like I'm going to be doing this one again. And I do have, luckily, my client does have some more in reserve for me, but they've been frozen, so I got to pick 2 kilos fresh. They went straight into carbonic maceration, and they're gone into this one, and now we've got another kilo going into the IPA. Let's go for a taste. Piff. It's got a lot of piff. No bitterness from the Tettnanger. Bitterness is coming from the kumquat. Certainly something different. It's certainly, I wouldn't say a novelty beer, but it's sort of along those lines. Kumquat in a wheat is something quite different. yeah, it's really good now, but I think with some time it's going to be exceptional. That's my 2 cents. That's my opinion on my own beers. I'm not really picking up anything else except for some really good freshness. It's zesty, it's pithy, it's got that wheat background. There's nothing really there that well, ultimately unbalances it right now, but I think it can develop a lot better in the keg. Marmalade, a little bit of marmalade on the nose. Flavor's really good. Slightly creamy. I think it's going to do a lot better in the IPA than it does the wheat beer, but I think, in all honesty, with some more fruit and reserve, I'm definitely going to do another one of these. I'm not sure, and that's probably an ultimate description of how this beer is going to end. I don't think this is going to make it through to summer, but it'd be really nice to have another keg there and reserve for when the hot weather comes around. It's going to be a nice beer for spring. Probably not a lot I'm going to change. Maybe a little bit less kumquat. But that just may mellow out. It's only still very young in the keg. It's only a couple of days in there, so here's to hoping that well, it's still quite drinkable now, but just to sort of mellow off a bit and balance out a little bit more, I don't think there's going to be an issue there in the keg in a few weeks' time. Cheers.